How are you?
Absolutely fine, sir.
When did you come?
So I just came half an hour ago.
Okay. You stay in Delhi or
Yeah,
you are
I
coming?
live in Delhi.
Okay, you live in Delhi. Okay. Please tell us about yourself.
Good morning, sir. My name is MRDUL Pandita. I'm from Delhi. I did my schooling from Rai International School. Post that, I did a dual degree program, MSc in Economics and BE in Mechanical Engineering from BITS Pilani campus. Post that, I decided to appear for the Indian Economic Services exam. And my hobbies are to read books, to write, and often I also like to listen to music in my free time.
What kind of music you listen to?
Sir, I am very typical Hindi, Bollywood, and sometimes even the old classic music of Kishore Kumar and Mohammad Rafi. I like to listen that also at times.
Can you tell me, have you listened to Manade?
Yes, sir. I remember one song of Mr. Manade.
Can you sing us for us?
Sir, I'm not a very good singer, but I just remember this one song, a very famous song with Chatur Nar from the movie Padosan. So.
But it is not solely sung by.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
it's a dual song.
Yes, sir. It's a duel with Kishore Kumar ji, very famous duel. So that's the song that's coming off the top of my head.
No, I want a song sung by Manade itself.
That I am not able to recall at the moment.
Okay. You have done a dual degree, right?
Yes, sir.
Major in mechanical and minor in economics, or vice versa.
It's a dual degree in the sense that it's a separate MSc Economics and a separate BE Mechanical Engineering.
Okay.
Separate degrees, 5-year course combined.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So it's a different from major and minor concept. You
Yes,
get a
sir.
dual degree, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So
Actually, UGC is now promoting this in.
Yes. I could just understand. So, what are the advantages of having dual degree as compared to the single degree previously we had?
So there are multiple advantages. Firstly, sir, it allows us to pursue variety of interests. Because I am someone who, while I took science in 11th and 12th, I always had a thing for the humanities. And it allowed me to pursue my humanities interests as well. While, of course, these days in engineering colleges, there are some humanities courses. But to pursue a separate degree gives you more competence, gives you more exposure. Secondly, it encourages, sir, interdisciplinary thinking. And the beauty of it is that I have used engineering in my economics and I have used economics in my engineering. And both are very, very connected. I realized it at multiple points of time. So that interdisciplinary thinking, that's the reality of modern world. It helps us to be better thinkers. And sir, lastly, it is also better for our job prospects, purely from our employment point of view. Firms want people who are competent in a variety of subjects because they tackle variety of problems. So in all sense, it's a win-win for everyone in my opinion.
You said you have used engineering in your economics and economics also in engineering. Can you give me some example where you have used engineering in economics?
Yes, sir. Sir, in engineering, it's about optimization. It's about crunching numbers, getting the data and optimizing for the correct solution, designing the correct system which will give us the maximum efficiencies. So all of economics, like maximizing my output given a given constraint, or for that matter, how do I, or for that matter, designing solutions in which I can achieve maximum goals. For example, if I'm say designing a policy program or anything say for a firm where I want to achieve maximum efficiency from a firm, or for that matter, how do I optimize the supply chain of the firm so that I minimize my cost and maximize my benefits. These are all economics problems where engineering is at the heart and soul of it.
And how economics is being used in your engineering?
Yes, sir. So economics is used in engineering because with economics, the core concept is twofold in my opinion. The two philosophies I have used from economics to engineering. First philosophy is to understand that people are complex. Economics is about people, their behavior, their incentives. So sometimes in engineering, what we tend to do is that, let's say I have to formulate a schedule for optimizing my amount of labor I employ. So then labor employment is not just about formulating the numbers and just doing those calculations. It's also about understanding people. It's about understanding incentives, how to get them to do better. So that incentive and sophistication of part of how people behave and interact, that is economics. Secondly, it's also about understanding benefits and cost. how, if I'm doing an engineering solution, what are the benefits, what are the costs, is my investment decision justified for this kind of a project, what are the cash flow projections from this particular engineering decision. So various aspects of economics then come into engineering.
So do you think that pursuing a dual degree is always advantageous over the single degree?
Sir, I won't say it's like a generic statement that everyone should do a dual degree. It depends on person to person. So for someone it may be a very good choice. For me, I felt it was a good choice. For some people, they may like to specialize more in one particular field. And plus these days, I think the fields themselves are becoming very interdisciplinary in nature. So someone who's doing computer science and engineering is learning about different fields in the modern curriculum. So maybe for them it is more suited to pursue that.
You use the word optimization and also use the word constraint optimization. Can you tell me some of the methods of solving constraint optimization?
Yes, sir. Sir, the first method I'm aware of is Lagrange method. In Lagrange, however, we assume that there is an interior solution. We assume that the interior solution exists. And the essence or the core of Lagrange is to find that point of tangency between the function we want to maximize and the constraint which we have. The second method is we can use optimization methods like simplex method. Simplex method we can use to, we have a set of constraints and to find the optimal. So more
linear programming.
For linear programming, yes. So there also we do the, so more I'm not able to recall at the moment. The curriculum I went through, I am aware of these two.
How Lagrangian constant is different from other constant, like a G?
Like
a gravitational constant.
So
how it is different?
So Lagrange constant, it's like it depends on the nature of the problem. What is my the problem I'm trying to assess. For example, the gravitational constant will remain 9.8 meter per second everywhere. Lagrange depends on the nature of the problem, but its philosophy is that it's the marginal benefit to marginal cost ratio for that particular problem. So whatever we want to whatever problem statement we have, the core philosophy, it gives us the marginal benefit to marginal cost ratio for that particular problem.
So can we say that Lagrangian constant is not constant, it's a variable constant?
Yes, sir. In that sense, maybe we can say that, because it's not a constant like gravitational constant or something like that. It will change according to the nature of the problem.
Okay, you belong to Jammu Kashmir.
So actually my parents are from there.
Okay.
I have been brought up entirely in Delhi.
Okay. So are you aware about the economy of the Kashmir actually?
Sir,
Which sector is contributing more?
So I have some idea, but I won't say I have complete knowledge of it, but I have some idea of Kashmir. May I?
Yes, yes.
So sir, basically Kashmir still remains very agricultural economy. One of the most important sectors I am aware of is the horticulture sector in Kashmir. So horticulture is very prominent. It suits the geographically it is very suited for agriculture, and also the existing, since a long time it has been practiced, so the supply chains and the existing institutions do exist for Kashmir to do well in horticulture. For example, in
or is it the tourism which
also
contributes largest to the economy of Jammu and Kashmir?
Sir, so I don't know which is the largest contributor. So the two sectors I know are for horticulture, and the second I was coming to was tourism. So the second will be tourism. I don't know which is the largest by value. So the tourism is also very important alongside horticulture.
Okay, if you become an economic officer, what 2-3 measures should you take to improve these two sectors in Jammu and Kashmir?
Horticulture and tourism. Sir, firstly, this is a general advice I will give for any sector to grow in Kashmir. We need to handle the law and order situation very well. Darren Acemoglu and Simon Johnson and James Robinson, they received the work on institutions they have done. For any economy to do well, institutions have to be very robust, and the core principle of that is we have to have rule of law in Kashmir. We can't be having these instances where where things are not going in law and order. So that's first thing. I will talk to people and resolve that. For horticulture, sir, I think Kashmir has taken...
But law and order will not come under your purview, I suppose, as an economic officer.
Sir, I understand that, but as a student of economics, it is always important to interlink yourself, because unless we solve that, then it won't come. So that is why my advice, the reason if we probably think from first principles thinking, it is very important that we solve law and order, because else it will be very difficult to grow the economy.
So governance is one.
Yes, so first thing would be this, and specifically this topic, because that will preclude investment from happening. For agriculture, for horticulture, I think Kashmir has taken is on that path where it is doing well. I will double down on this initiative called One District, One Product, district as export hub. Shopian district, from which my father belongs, already is now exporting apples under this initiative. I will ensure that every district in Kashmir...
So has it got a GI tag also?
Sir, I don't think it has a GI tag.
Okay.
I don't think it has a GI tag, but the economic survey mentioned that Shopian apples have been a successful ODOP product. I will ensure that every district of Kashmir has this one product. I read once that lavender farming is gaining a lot of ground. So things like this, understanding that what is the modern urban consumer wanting. I will do a market study and what is the potential of Kashmir in terms of those horticultural products. That mapping I will do and encourage things like lavender farming, which is being very remunerative for the Kashmir farmers.
Oh, and what about the saffron? Saffron is one of the costliest products.
Yes, sir.
And it is abundantly grown in Kashmir, but the climate also supports. What more you to do to promote the growth of saffron?
Sir, for saffron, yes, saffron is very important because of the soil which is there. I will, for these kind of high value elite products, what is a very good strategy is to do proper branding. Once we have, because I actually recently went to Kashmir and I realized that, after talking to people, I realized that a lot of counterfeit saffrons are being sold in Kashmir in the name of saffron. So we want to get the best products out there. So for that, we need to do branding. One proposal I would have is that we need to encourage FPOs, farmer producer organizations, because these organizations, the government of India is also promoting them. They will give farmers ownership, they will give farmers market access opportunities, branding opportunities. I will encourage them to this FPO concept to gain more ground in Kashmir and do proper branding of things like saffron so that we get to the urban consumer market very instantly.
Okay, good. What is cryptocurrency?
Yes. Sir, cryptocurrency is basically I may not be able to say that the exact definition, but it is basically a piece of a currency. It's not a real currency, it's a virtual currency which is based on an algorithm. It is based on solving some particular algorithm and a particular problem statement, and which gains legitimacy from that, which is not under any particular central bank. It is decentralized currency. It is basically essentially decentralized ledger, and it is not under any particular central bank, and it is both a currency in terms of its value for exchange, and it is also an asset. It is separately an asset also. That's the unique thing about the cryptocurrency.
Then why Indian government is opposing it?
So Indian government is actually approaching it for a variety of reasons. The first reason the e-rupee, the central bank digital currency, it has multiple benefits, and the government of India the RBI sees a lot of potential benefits from that. First is, if we use this in the wholesale market, then we are reducing the cost of transaction, because currently the CCIL has to hold those securities and has to act as an intermediary in these transactions, which increases the cost of transaction between two banks when they are transacting in the wholesale market. So using the wholesale rupee will drastically reduce the cost of transaction. Secondly is that CBDCs can be programmed, and that is a very interesting...
First of all, the answer should be focusing on why India is opposing cryptocurrency.
Sorry?
But you said it is because of the promotion of the CBDC.
Sir, I beg your pardon. You said approaching.
No, not approaching.
You said
vehemently opposing.
You meant opposing. I beg your pardon. There was a communication gap. Should I answer?
Yes, yes, yes.
Sir, I actually heard approaching, so I'm sorry about that. Sir, so India is
Opposing.
opposing CBDCs and
It's not CBDC.
not CBDC, cryptocurrency. So because it's a very volatile asset, there are 2-3 reasons. Firstly, it's a volatile asset. We have seen what has happened recently to the WazirX exchange. A lot of people lost very valuable hard-earned money because of the hacking which happened. There was lack of transparency over there. So that WazirX controversy validates government of India's point. Secondly, it is not under the control of RBI, and that is one of the core principles of banking, of central banking, is that money supply is under the central bank. So if that autonomy goes away, then the control over monetary policy transmission, that entire ecosystem suffers then, and that is why that makes it a very risky endeavor, and the government would not like that.
Then why it is taxing? And it is opposing, vehemently opposing, but it also proposes for a taxing transaction in bitcoins or other cryptocurrencies.
Yes, so it's very interesting because government has not defined cryptocurrencies properly also, so and yet the tax has been imposed. So there is some sort of a lack of clarity here, but it is taxing because, as far as my understanding goes, to tax crypto would be to tax the earnings from the one gains from these assets. And I think the logic would be that once you tax something, you discourage consumption, so they don't want people to go into these speculative assets which can be very volatile, and people might end up losing their savings. Pretty much like the securities transaction tax which has been recently imposed on derivatives trading.
Okay, so
MRDUL, you have done BTech as well as MSc.
Yes, sir.
So why IES? You could have opted for other services also.
Yes, sir.
3 important reasons, genuine reasons for opting for the Indian Economic Service.
So firstly is that this 1 year I've realized that my heart is in economics. I really enjoy the subject. I love the subject. I want to work there. Secondly, sir, it's the nature of my day-to-day job at IES. It's an intellectual job, it's an advisory job, and I like that prospect. I feel my contribution to India's development should be from the top-down thinking, where I build the intellectual climate, and then other services can implement those policies which I think about. And thirdly, it's also the prospects of IES in terms of my career aspirations. Recently, I've observed that there are the promotion opportunities, the exposure you get, the study leaves you get, and just the kind of exposure overall you get in terms of think tank collaboration, writing papers, engaging in public debate. The entire ecosystem of opportunities which IES officers is just wonderful. So that's why IES.
Suppose you are inducted in the Prime Minister Economic Advisory Committee as a member, and you are given the responsibility to identify 3 most important issues that requires an immediate attention by the government, 3 most important issues of Indian economy.
Yes. The most important issue at this point of time, I feel, is what is happening with the informal economy. We just don't know what's happening with the informal economy from the first part of the problem. And secondly, a lot of reports are suggesting that we are seeing a K-shaped recovery. While the formal sector and formal corporate sectors are growing, the state of the informal economy is very bad as per some reports.
What do you mean by K-shaped recovery?
So K-shaped recovery is when one part of the economy, the formal part, is growing, and it is growing robustly, as we see with corporate India, INC, it's been growing, profits are robust. And the other part of the informal part of the economy, it's actually declining. Wages are low, the quality of jobs is low, and the overall profitability is also low. So this process is very worrying. In fact, the recent annual survey of unincorporated enterprises was released by MOSPI, and the results are concerning. They do show that a lot of loss has happened to the informal economy. I will immediately address that, and and we look into this issue.
So one is informal economy, addressing the problem of informal economy. Other?
The second part is connected to the first part, which is measurement. Sir, Indian statistics is currently not in a very good shape. We need high frequency indicators. Even the PLFS is only coming out quarterly. We need to do these surveys monthly. The things like household consumption expenditure survey, it came after 11 years. There is a huge measurement problem also in terms of, let's say we have not updated the CPI baskets. It's been 11 years since these baskets have to be updated. So statistics is currently, and this is something the economic survey also mentions, is a huge problem in India at the moment. Unless we don't measure, what we don't measure, we can't address it. So that is my second policy priority. I will instantly ensure that all the measurement systems India does are robust and with the utmost of integrity. The third thing I would like to address in India, and this is long term, but I feel it is urgent, it is the entire ecosystem of institutions in India. And this is of course based on Darren Acemoglu's work, which recently got the Nobel Prize also, but we need to start building institutions. Now what do I mean by institutions? In terms of some specific, at least we need to start building state capacity, doing judiciary properly, policing, rule of law, all these things we start addressing right now. And at least I would start building the literature on this subject as a member of the PMEAC, which is something which PMEAC people are also doing these days. We have to build.
What is your suggestion to make Indian statistical system a robust system? Make it more robust, reliable and authentic. What is your suggestion? What actually needs to be done? Some innovative idea on your part.
Sir, I think more than, I don't know if I'm being innovative per se here, but I think what we need to do is just do the basic things right, which I don't think are happening in India at the moment.
Like?
First of all, there should be absolutely no political interference with the data. The reason being that it's not that the data is being fudged or anything like that, but things like, say, for example, recently a news came that GST monthly data was not released for a particular month. So GST monthly data is such a wonderful thing to look at, consumption indicators or things like that. So these things should not go into any sort of political frictions and any sort of the transparency and accountability on regular release of data. Firstly, that has to be addressed. Secondly, how we are doing those surveys, how we are looking into the data, like how we are talking to the people, how we are conducting those surveys, what kind of questions we are asking. That very basic thing needs to be robustly addressed. We need to look at the best practices. And also the third thing, this is connected to the first and two, is that it's not necessary that the state has to do all the statistical measurement. In the sense, we have something called as the Center for Monitoring Indian Economy. If they are doing a better job at, let's say it's a private firm, it has built its capabilities and it is doing a good job. So if CMI is doing something very well, then maybe it's time to think about outsourcing these things to CMI so that a private firm with its own capabilities gives us the most robust data available.
The issue with the private sector is private agencies, the authenticity and the reliability of the collection and processing of the data. Do you agree?
Sir, actually, I partially agree and partially disagree with due respect, because I do understand that it's a private organization, incentives might be different. But on the other hand, incentives might also be good because the organization which does its job well will get its contracts, will get more people.
I would again repeat, how to make the government agencies which are responsible for collecting and processing and presentation and publication of the data,
yes,
how to make them more robust and reliable.
The government agencies.
Yeah.
Okay. So for that, firstly we need to train people very well. We need to use the modern methods which are being used for collecting and understanding data, artificial intelligence, machine learning, all the advances there. We need to build capabilities of people on these subjects. We need to make these institutions like NSSO very autonomous. They should not be interfered with, or at any point of time their veracity should not be questioned. We should build autonomous institutions like NSSO which have their own capabilities.
Okay. Are you aware of the concept of PMI?
Of PMI?
PMI.
Sir, I know that it is called Purchasing Managers Index, and it shows whether the economy is in expansion or contraction. It is between 0 to 100, and a value above 50 suggests the economy is in an expansion stage.
Recently, we have seen a declining trend in PMI for the manufacturing sector. Are you aware?
Sir, I'm not aware of the trend. I'm aware of the trend for FY24, but
How do you see the manufacturing sector in India?
yes, sir,
Indian manufacturing sector?
the overall
Yeah.
understanding. So, manufacturing sector in India currently it's around 16 to 17% of GVA to the economy. The sector is currently being dominated by the more capital intensive sectors, labor intensive sector.
What is its significance in the Indian economy?
So significance is that if we just do a basic input output analysis, it contributes about 50 to 55% of the entire inputs to the economy. So from an input point of view, it is very crucial. It is crucial for creating jobs which also absorb unskilled labor, promote rural to urban migration. From that perspective, it is very important. It is very
Suppose,
important.
for example, the manufacturing sector in particular and industrial sector in general has shown a stagnant picture for the economy. Agriculture sector is rising in terms of income and employment. Services sector is also showing a progressive trend. How do you see this situation for a sustainable growth of our economy?
You mean
Longer term perspective से
You
क्या
mean
how do you see this situation? Is it a happy situation? Is it a cause of concern?
So it is a cause of concern, specifically what you said about agriculture growing. So the share of agriculture has actually increased in the past 6-7 years from 42 to 46%, and that is a very concerning trend. Manufacturing stagnancy is also concerning because
Why? I'm asking the reason.
the reason is that first of all we need to promote people out of agriculture because there is massive disguised unemployment over there. So if we have to absorb the disguised labor, we need manufacturing because it also absorbs unskilled labor. It gives economy a sense of competitiveness which allows it to export. So to have robust goods exports, merchandise exports, we need a robust, competitive, productive manufacturing sector. And from that point of view also it is very important. So hence if manufacturing is not doing well, then the rural urban migration will suffer, the employment prospects will suffer, and ultimately we will not export, merchandise exports will suffer. So for that we need a robust manufacturing sector, and for creating salary.
So what is so
jobs.
special about manufacturing? I want to know. That whatever contribution the manufacturing sector is capable to do in terms of income and employment, the agriculture sector can't do it. What is so specific about manufacturing sector or industrial sector as a whole, followed by the services sector? Why can't agriculture provide a sustainable growth prospect for our country?
So because even if agriculture has to grow, it needs manufacturing, because agriculture has a problem of surplus labor. There is not as much demand for labor as much as there is supply. And if indeed we want agricultural to be any sense of remuneration in agriculture, that involves manufacturing, that involves farm mechanization, and that requires robust manufacturing which can supply those goods to the agricultural sector. Also, with the manufacturing, it is also a process of learning by doing. So once you go to a manufacturing firm, you get some experience, you get some skill set, absorption of skill set, and especially in a country like India where the formal skilling is very low, so then that gives you on the job
The
training.
stages of value chain in the manufacturing sector in particular and industrial sector in general is much longer as compared to the agriculture sector.
Yes, sir.
This is the main point.
Yes, sir.
Understand?
Yes, sir.
That's why the prospect of income and employment generation is much more in the industrial sector, particularly the manufacturing, as compared to the other sector. What do you mean by sound fiscal policy?
So sound fiscal policy, in my opinion, would be a policy which...
What is fiscal policy per se?
Fiscal policy is the government expenditure and government taxation policies combined is the fiscal policy. How government spends its revenue and
Only taxation policy.
how government spends and how government receives its revenues. So that is the ecosystem of fiscal policy.
So, what is sound fiscal policy?
Sound fiscal policy would be which is prudent, which does its, where let's say the efficiency of expenditure is high, where the efficiency of tax collection is high, and where government debt levels are prudent according to a sound fiscal target, and is respected by the markets as well. So that entire ecosystem where we are spending wisely, collecting revenue wisely, and keeping debt levels at prudent levels with market accountability, that to me is sound fiscal policy.
So, how can you say that the government of the country is spending its money in the most efficient manner, in most prudent manner? There must be some criteria.
Yes, sir. So there are various ways of looking at it. One of the interesting ways is, let's look at the composition of gross fiscal deficit. If the fiscal deficit is dominated by revenue expenditure, then it is not a sound fiscal policy, because revenue expenditure does not create your productive capacity. In India, for example, in the past past 7 to 8 years, the trend has been that the composition of gross fiscal deficit has changed from a revenue domination to a capital outlay domination. That's a very good thing. Another way of looking at it is to look at the expenditure multipliers. So NIPFP has done the study where capex multiplier of the government of India is around 4, and the revenue expenditure multiplier of the government of India is around 0.6. Professor, I think Bhanumurthy has done this study, and so that is another way. What is the efficacy? Because the core principle of fiscal policy is the multiplier effect. So what are the multipliers? That would be another concern. Third, another way of looking at is to look at the gross budget allocations and then look at outcome-based budgeting. What has been the result of all this expenditure? Every ministry then showing up that, look, this is what we achieved. That is also a sound of looking at how well the expenditure has been done, and promoted by the highest levels of accountability. For example, this whole idea of social audits or the flagship schemes, that's an excellent way of looking at the efficacy of government expenditure. So these are.
How do you see this, the public expenditure, government expenditure on the social sectors?
Yes, sir. How
do you compare this, the expenditure on social sector versus expenditure on the capital formation?
Sir, I didn't understand the question. So comparison in terms of what has been the trend of this?
In terms of the efficacy, in terms of the efficiency of the public, sound public expenditure.
Sir, so it depends on how the expenditure on social welfare is being done, and what. Do
you see any kind of trade-off between the two?
Sir, there is a trade-off in terms of the budget allocations, but it's not necessarily, I have thought about this, it's not necessarily
I am asking this question from the perspective of a policy maker who is sitting at the core of the committee. Yes.
Yeah. Sir, if we do social welfare expenditure, then of course that to some extent will crowd out the expenditure available for capital expenditure, of course. That is one thing. But social welfare expenditure, if done well, also improves the capabilities of people, and it reduces deprivation from their lives, and that also gives massive benefits to the economy. So for example, let's say we do expenditure on the Jal Jeevan Mission. So then we are not only giving tap water supply to every household, we are also reducing the burden on women of India. We are also preventing the incidence of diseases like cholera. So that once we account for that, then it's not necessarily a bad.
Okay. Very nice, Mridul. What is your opinion about today's interaction?
Interview's over, sir.
Yeah, formal mock interview.
Sir, I tried to improve on one thing which you said in the last few days. I was speaking too much, but I hope I'm speaking to the point this time.
Yeah.
A little better. The rest, this time, any less dissatisfaction I could ascertain from the panel, and this I think it was okay.
No, it is a remarkable improvement over the last time mock interview we have done. And we hope that whatever suggestions were given last time, you have tried your best to incorporate those suggestions in your preparation. Have you done it?
Yes, sir. So that's why I'm just speaking to the point.
Yeah.
आपने कहा था कि just keep it simple, keep it to the point. So,
Or what are you doing for the current economic affairs?
Sir, as I discussed with you last time, Indian Express and Mint, I read it, and let's say some report comes out. So I also like to read RBI speeches. Very interesting way to look at new things. These three
And
things.
website of different ministries, Government of India.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll add to that.
Please do.
Yes, sir.
Different schemes, different programs, and current scenario, because when you appear for the actual interview, the question may appear from, say, 1 week earlier events or Q1, Q2. Those economic events may also surface in
Yes,
your
sir.
interaction with the interview board.
Yeah, and Q2 results will be out by then, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ठीक है ना? So please keep in mind, this thing is okay from my side. There is no much cause of concern for your candidature. You are a very good and prospective candidate to be selected.
Lots of improvement as compared to last time. We are satisfied. And we see whether very potential candidate.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
But still don't be complacent.
No, sir.
Keep working.
In UPSC, you can never be complacent. It's insane competition. So yeah, I understand, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, keep it up
Thank you, sir.
and be hopeful.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Because many of the things which we could not ask given the time constraints. But current we did not ask them. From my side there was no question on current. But you should be ready. As for the previous suggestions we have already given.
Okay. So what were you going to ask on the current events, if I may just ask that? So that I know कि मैं prepared था कि नहीं.
For example, even the report on now in recent budget, there have been various addresses to the schemes which has not been succeeded. What can we do further? For example, Make in India, started in
Yes, sir.
September 2014.
10 years of making India.
Right.
Yes, sir.
What were the primary goals of it?
Yeah.
Did we achieve it?
No, 25% was the target. It's still around 67.
25% was the target, right? And creation of jobs.
Jobs.
also.
Yeah.
So what could be done? What are the various schemes which we have just now been taken to address these issues?
Okay.
What could be your suggestions? Very current. Then the current affairs, as you said, the conflict has again arisen, and further there will be a conflict between Israel and Iran.
West Asia, yes.
How it will affect our trade.
ठीक है, all the best.
Thank you, sir.